Hey there, happy Thursday and welcome back to the 10 Weather Impact Show. I'm meteorologist Lily Aldrich and we don't really have too much going on in our forecast today. Lots of sunny skies, a little bit more of humidity, but looking ahead towards the weekend is kind of where things start to get a little bit interesting. And then looking ahead to next week is when things kind of get back into that usual pattern we're looking at. Here's everything you should expect over the next few days. Humidity will start to creep back up in your forecast, but today for your Thursday, it's a nice, pleasant day. Lots of sunshine in your forecast. By the time we get back into this weekend, though, that's when rain chances start to creep back in. I'll detail those out for you in just one second. For our satellite and radar right now, seeing some clouds out towards our east and out towards our west, but for Columbus and for all of Ohio in general, you're seeing a big clear path in the middle of it. A lot of that's because of a big high pressure system literally sitting right over us. That's kind of kicking everything else out. But for current temperatures right now, around 83 is your high over in Columbus, slightly cooler in our outside counties, even some areas seeing around the upper 70s. That's feeling nice over there. Over the next 12 hours, you will see a slight cool down though, seeing around 85 degrees right now, cooling off slightly as you get a little bit later into the afternoon. 83s by the time you're getting around 8 o'clock, by the time you should be getting ready to wind down for bed. By the time we get into the evening hours, we will drop that back down to the 60s, and that'll leave us feeling quite nice as you wake up tomorrow morning. So expect that as you wake up tomorrow, 60s, and when you start to get that humidity building back into the forecast, it's when you start to feel a little bit more of the meter when you wake up. Tomorrow we're expecting around 80s. That's going to be your warmest day of the week by the time you get into tomorrow, because then we have some rain chances creeping back in our forecast. Here's your mugginess meter. So these are your dew points. How you feel outside is essentially what this is saying. Thursday feeling still pretty comfortable, dew points in the 50s, but by the time we get into tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, when those rain chances start to creep back in, that's when you're really going to start feeling that mugginess out there. Over the next few days, we will see rain chances start to increase. By the time we hit Saturday, that's your best chance for rain coming back into the forecast. And on Sunday morning, that's when you're going to see a little bit more of that rain continuing. By the time we get into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all of those 20s across the board, that's pretty much your usual pattern that we see at this time. You've got the afternoon pop-up showers with increased humidity and increased temperatures. Let's time everything out for you. Lots of clear skies on Thursday, pretty sunny out there for the most part. You will start to see some clouds build back into your forecast by the time you hit Friday morning and into the evening hours. This is around midnight on Saturday. This will continue through and kind of get out of the way, and then you start to see a little bit more of those rain showers come in on Saturday during the day, and those will continue into your Sunday. So keep that in mind if you do have weekend plans. This is kind of the situation we're looking at. High pressure system sliding off to the east, and you've got that nice low sitting across parts of our area, and that will continue to bring in some of these storms. With that cold front coming in from Canada, that's also kind of sweeping down some ickiness in the rain over the weekend. So that's kind of the situation we've got going on right now. All that being said, we're going to have rain over the weekend. So that's going to go over this weekend, pretty much seeing periods of rain. Not everybody will see rain at all times during your Saturday. It's going to be some in the morning, some in the evening, some throughout your day on Saturday, but it will have a little bit of a break. But for the most part, keep an eye on your weekend plans. We've got that interactive radar for you on the 10 TV app, so keep that in mind if you are going out anytime this weekend. Now, let's take a look over at our 7-day forecast. Lots of sunshine for your Thursday. Highs right around the mid-80s, 85. That's around normal for this time of year. With lots of sunshine, we had a little bit more daytime heating than what we originally expected this morning. Getting into Friday, slightly warmer, 87 for your high, but you will be waking up to the 60s still. It'll still feel quite nice as you get outside. By the time we hit Saturday, that's the next chance for rain to creep back into your forecast. It's around 79 for your highs, waking up still around the mid-60s. Those rain chances will continue into Sunday, but most of the rain should be coming in during your daytime on Saturday. So keep that in mind if you do have weekend plans. By the time we get into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, all those 20s across the board, that's your usual summer pattern. That's that 20% chance of seeing those isolated pop-up showers later in the evening. Highs kind of sticking around that same temperatures though. It's right around the mid-80s, what's normal at this time of year. But overall, it's looking like a pretty good forecast for you for lots of sunshine and continued sun throughout the entire week as we get out to the Ohio State fair for across the week. It's looking quite nice out there. But in other news, if you do want to get out and enjoy this weather, there is a day that is day 2 of the Ohio State Fair, and today you can take advantage of some of the discounts on food. It's $3 Thursday, so you can try fair favorites without breaking the bank. There are smaller versions of food offered throughout the day today, and if you can't make it, the next $3 Thursday is going to be next week, August 6th. And if you want to take advantage of those deals, here are the fair hours to help you plan your trip. Monday through Friday, the fair is open from around 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. on weekends, and you can go a little bit earlier on the weekend when the fair is open from 9 a.m. to around 9 p.m. On the last day of the fair, August 9th, most of the buildings will end up being closed by the time we hit around 6 p.m. Finally, if you are going to the State Fair on Saturday, you can also take advantage of these free parking spots at the Ohio State University's campus. Look at this. There's parking on Woody Hayes Drive at the South Fieldhouse lot. There's also a shuttle near St. John Arena. And moving on back from the fair back to some severe storms. Some erratic and dangerous weather is now sweeping the nation. Historic, life-threatening flash floods swamping parts of the Northeast are being called a 1-in-1,000-year rainfall event. Over in the West, wildfires and the heat is on. The scorching temperature is baking several states. CBS's meteorologist Rob Marciano is tracking it all.
This mill stood for hundreds of years in upstate New York.
The barn is gone.
And in a flash, it collapsed as a 1-in-1,000-year rain event flooded the area. More than 10 inches of rain falling in just 24 hours in Albany and in the Hudson Valley. This is what the morning commute looked like in the region. Rushing water shutting down this major highway. Our Albany affiliate caught this perilous scene as a man carrying a child through waist-deep water, then returning to help guide an older woman to safety after a flash flood swallowed the roadway. Swiftwater rescue teams were deployed to help others trapped in surging water. All across this region of New York, roads, homes, and entire neighborhoods inundated with floodwater, and states of emergency were declared in several counties. Overnight, in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, a man died when a tree crashed into his house during a violent thunderstorm. Hours earlier, you can see the ominous low clouds as the storms began to form. In the West, the wind and fire whipped up this smoke-nado in Utah. And in Arizona, a hiker had to be extracted from a mountain near Phoenix after falling ill while hiking in triple-digit heat.
It's just a good reminder how quick this heat can sneak up on you.
It certainly can, and the summer's just been brutal across Arizona, nearly as bad as the record-shattering July we had back in 2023. Broke some records here in New York State, a 2-day all-time record shattered in Albany, New York, and this low is going to continue to spin itself pretty slowly towards the Atlantic coast, so during the day on Thursday, it will remain wet for much of the day across eastern New England. Rob Marciano, CBS News, Mamaroneck, New York.
Wildfires are continuing for portions of the U.S., with impacts continuing this afternoon. This is video of the Court Fire, which had burned roughly around 15 acres in a city in California on this past Monday. Flames erupted near Highway 108 and Singeti Road, according to California Fires. The cause is still under investigation. Further northeast, the Superior National Forest is reopening nearly half of the Boundary Waters canoe area for day and overnight trips. After recent fires, the pause in federal funding reportedly delayed a wildfire prevention program in one of the areas that went up in flames. As photojournalist Nick Loonman and Jeff Wagner discovered, a former U.S. Forest Service ranger has some burning questions he really wants answered.
Former Superior National Forest Ranger Aaron Kenya says this is the type of wildfire his team spent years preparing for. They focused in on the Echo Trail corridor.
We assessed the risk across the Superior National Forest, and this was one of the areas that had the highest risk. This was the highest risk, this was the focus, and we had this project shovel ready to go.
The work called for removing dead and downed trees, thinning brush, and using prescribed burns before fire season sparked up.
So the combination of all of those things is what we were looking at. We were looking at all of the tools in the toolbox, and we were ready to put that to work.
The plan was derailed by DOGE, according to the Washington Post. The paper reports a $10 million grant for that project was delayed to review whether they were connected to diversity or climate initiatives.
When DOGE came on board, they literally said, pause, stop work. And so it's that clear. Once we made our case and explained it, and we were able to rework the plan to be acceptable to DOGE, by then the reorganization of the Forest Service occurred. So a lot of the people that would do that paperwork were no longer working for the agency.
Now that stretch of the Echo Trail is on fire. It's one of the blazes contributing to our smoky skies and hurting the Northland economy.
We don't know what the future brings for us. There has been some economic downturn because of what is going on right now.
With photojournalist Nick Luneman, Jeff Wagner, WCCO News.
It's not just the U.S. dealing with these fires. Much of Europe is continuing to experience them as well. But things could be improving. The tide could be turning against a huge wildfire in southern France, allowing tens of thousands of people to return home. That actually includes George Clooney and Amal Clooney, who announced they fled from the fires as well. Parts of Spain are still burning, but authorities called off a national emergency for blazes near Madrid. 2 firefighters died in a wildfire on a Greek island that's forcing thousands of residents and tourists to evacuate.
It was frightening, yes. We could see the flames in the hills above the village, and the police and the firefighters were just telling everybody to leave straight away.
According to the European Union's climate experts, Europe is warming faster than anywhere else in the world, with temperatures rising at more than twice the global average. As those fires continue to burn, responders are facing another challenge today: brutal heat. Temperatures topping 100 degrees. CBS's Ramy is on the front lines with firefighters.
Confronting walls of smoke and flames, more than 2,200 firefighters and more than 20 aircraft are battling France's biggest fire that's been burning for exactly a week. But there are countless smaller ones inside a front line 75 miles long. And locals are stepping up, dousing fires before they can spread out of control.
And the ground is smoking too.
Yeah, the ground is smoking because fires go everywhere.
Is it underground too?
Underground. Sometimes like 1 meter underground.
This volunteer group has been working non-stop since last week, helping contain a fire officials say is stable but hardly under control, and hoping to prevent more destruction.
This is the commune of La Porge. An inferno ripped through this community of about 3,500 people with high winds and flames. Now most of the homes have been demolished, reduced to rubble, and most of its people are gone.
Spain, too, is making headway on a massive wildfire near Madrid. Tens of thousands of people have been allowed to return home, but officials fear high temperatures and strong winds could reignite fires.
And France is now officially in its 4th heat wave this summer. That kicked in at noon today. Temperatures soared back up over 100 degrees, and residents told us that they're afraid this could make fighting all of those fires that much tougher again. Ramy Inocencio, CBS News, La Porge, France.
One of the themes you've heard in these past few stories is, of course, the dangerous heat. And that heat also has an impact on the bees that help pollinate all of the crops and plants we depend on each day. Sam Carrasio has that story from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
See, that's the honey. It's delicious.
James Deming didn't set out to run a bee empire. He started with 2 hives as a hobby back in 2013. Now he's caring for 200 of them spread across Tulsa.
This heat is brutal on us as beekeepers because we put on a triple layer suit to protect us from stings. We really try to focus on early morning or late evening work when the sun is low in the sky and the temperatures are lower.
EMSA says that's a good start.
Encourage them to take breaks, make sure they're drinking plenty of water. Protecting your skin also, making sure you've got sunscreen on and you're reapplying it to them as needed.
James says that this hot weather that we're seeing not only has an effect on the beekeepers tending to bees at hives like this, but it also has an effect on the bees themselves. And that has a downstream effect on food we see every day out the grocery store.
We'll hang on the outside of the hive to reduce the congestion of inside the hive. That allows for better airflow and allows for better cooling. What you're seeing here is this is called bearding, where it looks actually like a beard of bees. It's hanging right here.
Deming says worker bees will also fan water with their wings to cool things down, but that system has its limits. The heat is also drying up the flowers bees rely on for food.
We're in what's called dearth, meaning there's not a lot of food out there for the bees. So hives that have stored plenty of nectar are going to be okay because they have food to eat. Hives that maybe haven't done as good a job, now they're eating what honey they've stored because there's no nectar out there to gather, and they have a risk of running out of food and starving.
He says bees pollinate roughly a third of the crops we eat, so fewer, weaker colonies can mean less food and higher prices down the line. For now, Deming's job is simple. Keep his bees fed and cool until the heat breaks.
With a little bit of rest, we'll be renewed and ready to go again next spring.
In Broken Arrow, Sam Carrico, Oklahoma's own News on 6.
Finally today, let's check out some new video into us here at 10 TV. First up, something creepy out of a forest near Jerusalem. Spiders wove giant webs covering vegetation over a creek, creating a rare and enchanting scene. Trees and bushes were shrouded by giant cobwebs woven by long-jawed spiders as the water of the stream flowed beneath them. Earlier today, the otherworldly landscape forms just outside of Jerusalem every few years during the summer. It's enabled by a combination of natural conditions and man-made factors. Millions of long-jawed spiders create the webbing that envelops the forest to allow them to catch their prey. And when summer ends and the temperatures end up dropping, the mosquito population that sustains the web weavers will dwindle down and no longer support the spiders' nutritional needs. Something like that kind of looks like it's out of a movie, and I am very happy that we are nowhere close to that right now because, oh goodness, I don't think I could deal with that. And finally today, a much less creepy story as thousands of rubber ducks raced to the finish line in London earlier today as a part of a fundraising event for Cosmic, a charity that supports babies and children in intensive care. As the event unfolded, people on paddleboards and boats helped guide the ducks down a 100-meter stretch of the canal while spectators watched the sea of floating toys. Now, in its 10th year, the annual event allows people to sponsor a duck with funds going to Cosmic. Each toy is geared with a unique number before the race begins, and that allows the 4 participants to track their entry. The person who sponsored the winning duck, which crossed the finish line first, claimed the top prize of Eurostar tickets, with runners-up getting cheers and claps of admiration. I wonder who won the event. It looks like a great time. I remember as a kid going to the fair and ended up bobbing for ducks, actually, so it kind of brings me back home. I mean, let's take a look one more time over in central Ohio with our forecast over here. It looks absolutely beautiful today. Lots of sunshine throughout the day for you. Highs right around the mid-80s. As we get into tomorrow, you're slightly warmer, slightly more humid. But come on Saturday, that's when we start to see rain return in our forecast. Expecting showers partly in the morning, and that will continue into the later parts of your afternoon. Not an entire washout, but you should expect rain. In the upper 70s for your highs. By the time you get into Sunday, rain continues, and then by Monday, you start to get back into that usual pattern that we see around this time of year as we get into the first week of August. But overall, it's looking like a pretty good state fair forecast for the Ohio State Fair this week. Well, that's it here at the Weather Impact Show. It's been a lovely pleasure telling you all about the nice weather. Chief Meteorologist Chris Tomer will be in tonight with the remainder of your forecast and a look ahead at what's coming for the fair forecast as well. Take care.